Unfortunately for me, one of the worst things that can happen to your bike has happened to mine. Yeah, so the front brakes on my bike are completely contaminated and ruined. Luckily for me, however, there are some pretty creative solutions on the internet, and we're gonna try a few of them. Now, for those of you who still may be a little bit confused about the situation, let me explain in a bit more detail. So when I say the front brakes on my bike are contaminated, what I mean is the rotor, the caliper, and the actual brake pads themselves have gotten a substance on them such as dirt, or in my case, oil, and now the friction between the rotor and the pads is completely ruined, resulting in terrible braking performance, and of course, that horrible noise. Now, a simple way of fixing this issue, guys, is of course just by buying all brand new parts here for the bike. However, that means spending money and waiting around for the parts to come, and that is exactly what we are going to try avoid doing today. So let's get the video started, try out some of these internet hacks, and hopefully fix my bike. Let's do it. And boom, this is gonna be our little workstation for the video. And I believe these are the tools we're gonna use to fix it. The first step of the process is getting this front wheel off the bike and taking out the pads. Boom. Oh my God. That's what I get for being stupid. And now the pads. Very careful here. Still got it. That's 2, that's 3, and that is 4. And just like that, guys, step 1 is successfully complete. As you can see here, we've got all the parts off that we're gonna try and fix today. If we have a closer look at one of the pads here, you might be able to see what I'm talking about. Absolutely covered in oil, but I'm excited because it is finally time to talk about the 3 different solutions that we're gonna try use today. Now, up first, probably not much of a surprise, we'll be using brake cleaner. This stuff is usually pretty good at cleaning your brakes. However, in most cases, it isn't enough for what we are dealing with today, but it's a great place to start. After that, things get a bit more creative. Sandpaper. Now, supposedly this stuff does a pretty good job at fixing your brakes, so I'm excited to test it out. And lastly, what I'm looking forward to trying the most, fire. According to the internet, fire is one of the best ways that you can remove oil from any surface, and I believe it'll be our best shot at fixing my bike today. So make sure you stay tuned to see if all of these things combined can fix my bike. Okay, so for method number 1, guys, I figured I'd move everything that we need to try and clean today out onto the grass because I have a feeling this stuff is gonna go everywhere. First, with a piece of absorbent paper, dab the surface trying to absorb as much oil as possible. Next, start cleaning the pad using isopropyl alcohol or a degreasing agent. That sounds pretty simple to me. Also, I figured I would add a step in between those. I've gone ahead and got some hot water with detergent in it that we're also going to use to try and clean all these surfaces. Let's get started. Alrighty, so firstly, with a bit of this absorbent paper, we're going to go over each one of these pads and just try and get rid of, you can already see black marks on the bits of paper. Just trying to get rid of any oil that might still be on the surface and hasn't absorbed into the actual pad yet. Oh, that is not good. Tell you what, this better work by the end of this video. Last one. That's the pads complete. Now it's the rotor's turn. Yeah, the same deal. Now, it's definitely worth mentioning too, if any of you guys are going to try this at home, be very careful around this rotor. It may not look like it, but it is incredibly sharp and it can be very easy to cut yourself. So be careful. We're ready for soap. Right, so I think the plan here is to take each one of these pads one by one and simply just dip them into our detergent water, which is very hot. I'll get as much of that stuff on the pads as possible. And then again, take it back to our paper towel here. Get all of it off. Boom. Simple. That's 2 down. 3 down. Lucky last here. Boom. Right, so this might be a little ridiculous, but I still have plenty of hot detergent left over, so I may as well pour it all over the roadie here and then clean that up as well. 1 second. Since everything else got the detergent, may as well use the rest of it on the caliper here, which is also contaminated, of course. Okay, and after all that commotion, we are finally ready to start using that brake cleaner. Let's do it. So I don't think there's a whole lot more to it. We're gonna shake up this and spray all the parts now with this stuff. Over to the rotor now. And finally, all in here. Sweet. So that is method 1 complete, guys. All the parts are now been cleaned with brake cleaner and soap and everything else. Now all that's left to do is move right on to method number 2 for the video, sandpaper. Let's do it. Generally, the oil is absorbed by superficial layers of the brake lining. Therefore, removing these layers will bring the non-contaminated material to the surface. So obtain a sheet of fine grain sandpaper and place it on a flat, smooth surface. There's our flat, smooth surface. Place 2 fingers on the pad and without applying pressure, move the pad in a circular motion on the sandpaper. Blah, 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 blah. Let's do it. Here we go. I can already tell that's a much nicer looking surface right there. Maybe a little bit more here. Boom, 1 complete. Pad 2. 2 more to go. Nice. Final 1, and we are done here with method number 2. Nice. So here's a closer look, guys, with what we are dealing with now when it comes to the brake pads. You'll be able to tell immediately they are a much lighter color because we have just scratched off the whole top surface of the pads, and fingers crossed, we've just scratched off all of the contaminants. Now, we are not done just yet. We are getting very close to seeing if this stuff has actually worked. We still have the 3rd and final method left, the one I'm looking forward to most for obvious reasons. Let's get the fire out. And so here we are, guys, the 3rd and final method for the video before we put my bike all back together and see if any of this stuff has actually worked. We have fire. So we've got these 2 different options here. One is sort of a more high pressure flame. This one's your traditional little lighter. We're gonna use both of them. Let's get into it. It seems crazy, but in reality, fire is an excellent system for cleaning pads. If you think about it, lubricating oils are often made of hydrocarbons, and these are highly combustible substances. It's all getting a bit confusing now. The pads are made of refractory material, very resistant to heat, thus this method is not as absurd as it may seem. Holding the pad with tweezers, face the brake lining towards the flame, bring the pad to the flame and make several passes over it. Don't hold the pad over the flame for more than a couple of seconds, this avoids overheating. I think we get the point. I have some tweezers in my pocket here, and we are ready to do this thing. So for the first pad, I'm leaning towards using the old trusty Bob Marley lighter here because I feel like I can just have it lit like this and then hold the pad over the top like that. So let's go ahead here, get a pad ready and do this thing. Yeah, okay. That seemed to work. Ooh, hot. Pad number 3 here. All I'm doing, guys, is lighting and then doing a few little... Right, the last one. Whew. And just like that, we've successfully completed all 3 of the different methods that are supposed to fix my bike. Now for the fun part, guys, we're gonna put the bike all back together, see if any of this stuff worked. Fingers crossed. Let's do it. Let's do this thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, bolt, bolt. We're ready to test this thing. I'm nervous. Let's not waste any more time here. I'm gonna get on the bike exactly like I did at the start of the video, ride in, lock the front brake, and see if we have a working bike or are we still in the same situation. Let's do it. Really? Tell you what, that's a lot of effort for no results. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and hope that maybe they're still a little damp or something and maybe just need to dry up, and they might come good over the next coming days. Although I don't think that's the case at all. Just because all these things didn't work for me does not mean that it wouldn't work for you. Feel free to try if you have similar issues to your brakes, because again, my bike was completely covered in oil, probably too far gone, guys. Do not discount it. Definitely try some of those things out. You might be able to fix your bike, unlike me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. As always, appreciate all the support, and I'll see you in the next one.